So, Father, we thank you for this evening. Thank you for this time that we have, and we're in great anticipation of what you will say to us in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So talk a little bit about right now in Rewiring Your Heart. We're in chapters 10 and 11, but tell me how far you've been reading, and that will determine what we talk about tonight. So, where you all are, how far have you gotten, and then that will drive this conversation. All right, so the one want to make sure we, okay. All right, so how far is anybody else? He says up to chapter 9, so where are you all? Okay, okay. All right, okay, that's okay. Then that's okay. We'll go another route. It's okay. It's okay. All right. Uh so we have well then let me tell you. Let me ask at this point, what have you gotten out of what you have read? Let's go that route first. What have you gotten out of what you have read up to now, or what you have read and what we have been talking about when we've gotten together? So let's go that route. Let's see where we are, and then that'll determine whatever else we do tonight.
I've gotten that focusing on changing my behavior isn't going to be the it all. I have to have heart surgery, and there's deeper work that needs to be done outside of just
Now,
changing my
what do you
behavior.
mean when you say deeper work needs to be done?
Quite literally, I need a heart surgery. Not literally, but spiritually. I need to do work or allow the spirit to do work on my heart to get to the root instead of just trying to change my behavior and thinking
Okay.
that's gonna.
Okay. All right. Well, the spirit's not going. When you say allow, you have to make a decision in regards to that. Okay. So she recognizes there are some deeper things down inside that need to take place. So anybody else, based on what you have been reading and based on what we have been talking about, what have you been getting out of Rewire Your Heart? That's our conversation right now. Anybody else?
That the change that needs to take place, it has to take place within my heart and not me just saying, I'm going to change. I'm going to do this. Even sometimes I do this, what I said, but it's not, it doesn't be sustainable because a lot of the stuff is on the surface and not in my heart. I'm working, well, not even
You're working too hard.
working.
You're working too hard. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
This book, Pastor, though, for me has been the one that's right here in my face. All of them have been very great tools and good reads. But this one is showing me myself.
Mm. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's making me, when I see the ugly in me, say, where is this desire to coming from? And I'm gonna give an example. I'm walking out the house, the eclipse, because I was trying to get to work at 2:30, and I look over, the neighbors are outside, and I look at them and, what y'all doing out here looking at the? What makes you think you ought to be looking at the eclipse? You need to be going to get some jobs or something.
And you
So
don't know whether they work or not.
I don't even know,
That's what I
but
mean.
I
Okay,
just
but
look
go
at
on.
them with disdain.
Mm,
And then I realized that I look at them with disdain all the time.
mm,
And so I said, this is not God's will because God is love. So I got to change
mm.
my way. But I'm just asking God, like all throughout the day, when I see the ugly, I'm saying, now that affection is towards something that's not good. I need to desire and see things the way God sees them. So that's the way it's affecting me.
Mm. Okay. All right. So again, what have you all learned from either the reading or what our discussions have been? And I certainly can tell you, we don't leave stuff just out there. We always bring us to a place where we have to make a decision. And and again, I'm being very gentle rather than tearing into you for not reading. So I'm being very gentle. So this is good. Okay, that you should be applauding that. So honestly. So that's why I'm just asking, what have you gotten so far, and then we're gonna work it from there.
Okay. I have gotten, I won't say that I'm not as spiritual as I thought I was, but that I do need some work. Um,
So saying that, then how spiritual did you think you were? Now that since you brought it up,
well, I thought that I was doing God's work. I felt like I was doing what He wanted from me to do in helping other people, in being a servant, um, pleasant, helping other people, bringing them to the Lord. But then I realized that it's some things that I could do differently. In I guess I could use an example better. Um, like Tracy and I was talking one day, and I was saying how I didn't want to go back into social service work in helping people because they feel like you owe them certain
but you
things.
just said you love helping people.
I do.
Okay, but go on.
But then when they take it like for granted, like, hey, you're supposed to do this for me, or I'm like, I don't want to, I didn't want to deal with those people
Mm.
anymore. I
So
know. That's why.
so you really don't like people that much,
I do like people. I do like
other
helping
other than
people.
them.
Mm. I just didn't want to help. Well,
Them.
there you go. Ungrateful people, unappreciative
How do
people,
you determine whether somebody's
because
ungrateful? How do you determine whether somebody's ungrateful or not?
because they didn't show appreciation. They
To
didn't.
to who?
Not so much to me.
Oh,
They just
okay.
feel like you owe them something.
All
Like
right,
you
but how
have
do
to
you
do this.
determine whether they are not grateful or not?
Um,
Based
it
on based
shows.
in what way? You see, that's a totally different scenario now. In what way? In what way does it show? By not saying thank you, by
Well,
not
no,
praising.
just by making the change in their life, doing something different. They keep going back
Okay,
doing the
okay.
same
So
thing.
stay there.
Hmm.
Making a change based upon what you see.
Yes.
Now, do you see how if we keep playing it out, it was really based on what we thought they should be doing, much like when you heard Gwen mention they ought to be out there working, should not be working any clips, she don't even know whether they're working or not. Just like you don't know what they're doing when you don't see them. You follow me? You have no idea. Or do you, unless you private eyeing them and finding that out? Okay, so you really don't know what they're doing when you don't see them. Or what could have happened from the last time that you saw them to the next time that you saw them. There could have been a change. Something abruptly went another way, and then now they're faced something else. You notice how this goes now? It is so different, isn't it? Because it doesn't mean that they didn't do something or something didn't quite go right.
True.
Okay.
But also, like, when they call you, it's like all about them. It's like, how are you doing? You
Okay.
know,
So let me ask you. This is so great. The purpose of serving is what?
serve.
Okay. All right. Did you just hear yourself? So then, now don't run the mic from you now. Keep it up so we can hear what this is really all about. So when you serve, do you serve for a pat on the back? Do you serve so they'll do what you say? Do you serve so that as a result they won't ever need to be served again? Or what are you saying?
I'm serving to help them to progress, to make a
Oh, that's
difference.
what it is. Wrong motive.
Okay.
Because that would be according to you. And all a servant does is meets a need. in the now.
So they'll never change.
Nope. That's you're adding that. We're describing a servant meets a need in the now. In the now. Not the next moment, in this moment. Now, if we leap ahead and judge what they do in the next moment, then our serving was with an impure heart. Because it's in this moment. How can I serve them now? Like right now. And my motive has to be right. That's what the kingdom is all about. The kingdom is all about not that I want to polish them up, wash them up, and then they better off and they should look like this, that, or the other. It's like, what was my own motive behind serving them? Or I would always find a reason. Oh, they don't appreciate nothing. When they done that, I don't know why they keep coming. Oh, here they come again. You know what they're going to be doing when they come here. The last time I saw them, I tried to tell them don't come back here. They're coming back again, asking for more. In fact, we need to have a limit on what we're going to give to them so they won't keep coming here.
How do you know if they are growing? Why do you just
Oh, so are you the grader? No, don't drop it down. Keep it up. No, hold it up.
No. I'm not the
Okay,
grader.
so you are the what?
The servant.
Oh, now you got it. See, a servant. Man, we emphasize this. All a servant do is serve. They got one agenda. How can I serve you more? They don't. That's their whole job description. How can I serve you more?
So when do you stop serving them?
You don't. You don't.
What you want, you want.
You just never do. That when is a servant no longer a servant?
You can be a servant, just
No,
not to them.
no. I'm asking a question. When is a servant? Listen to the question. When is a servant no longer a servant?
Always a servant.
Oh, okay. See how you're answering the question? See, you're so smart. You figured it out. So that means then you never stop. Right. That it's a HEART issue. That's our challenge, and that's what you're in. It's our heart, because before we know it, our eyes and thoughts will get in the way, and we will have judged folk before we know it. We'll be there so fast to determine. And the challenge is we're taking the template of our life and putting it on them. If it were me, I'd be doing this. I would show. If somebody ever helped me, I would always tell them how thankful I am, because that's our template. That would be our template. Now, but you can keep adding, and then we'll keep talking. Anything else you want to add?
I just want to help people grow.
And no, wrong motive. No. You help them grow according to what? Let's play this all the way out. Give it back to her. Let's play this all the way out. Now, if you played it all the way out, because you can only help to mature people up to your own level. So now, if your thoughts are where you are, you'd be teaching them to think like you think toward other people. Would that be how you would want them to think about it? Now do you see how this goes? Because we can only teach up to the level where we are. That's deep there, isn't it? We can't go past where we are.
Okay. Say, just for an example, one of the young ladies, she had lost all her children. I tried to help her get her children back.
Okay.
She lost her house. She was on the run.
Okay.
And so we had got her a couple of jobs and got her a house where she could grow and into society, you know, talk to her about the Lord, everything. Got her going to church. But then she lost all of that.
Okay.
She went backwards the other way.
Okay.
And then she'll call you 6
Okay,
months
stop there.
Okay.
She went backwards. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was,
Okay. And what happened with you then? Hold it up.
I still continue to help.
But what were your thoughts? They changed.
Well,
How did your thoughts change?
they changed because
Of what?
she went backwards.
No, because she didn't do what you thought.
Well,
No,
not my expectations.
Keep going. What happened? What changed your thoughts about her?
After 8 years, it never
No,
changed.
what changed your thoughts about her? Not her behavior. What changed your thoughts about her?
She was still doing the same thing.
And you didn't like that.
Felt like I
No, no, no,
wasn't
no,
the
no, no, no,
person.
no. Stay on your thoughts. You
Okay.
didn't like that
No,
because that
I
didn't make you
wasn't the
feel too
one
good.
to help her.
No, no, you're going too far.
So,
Your thoughts change, but what you're talking about is her behavior.
mhm.
The real problem is your thoughts changed.
Right, they changed because I felt like
And,
she
no,
needed somebody
no,
else.
it did not change because of her behavior. Those were your thoughts. She didn't give you a new set of thoughts.
Well, my thoughts changed because of her
Uh,
behavior.
Notice what we said. If you focus on her behavior,
Hmm.
your thoughts changed because of something she did that you didn't like.
Okay.
No, is that true?
Yeah.
That was hard, wasn't it? That was hard. This
Okay.
in Matthew chapter 15. So we're taking us right here where we are, Matthew 15. It wasn't her behavior. Matthew chapter 15, verse 19 says, "For out of the heart come evil thoughts, murder, adultery, immorality, theft, false testimony, slander." And it says, notice, out of the heart, out of the heart. Those thoughts you had about her were not generated because of external behavior. They came from in you. That's our battle. And this isn't singling you out, it's our battle. Those thoughts originated from within, and it wasn't based on what somebody was doing. The same way when she looks at them, what they're doing is not what's creating the thoughts that Gwen has. These are thoughts in her that are already there, that just start to rise up. So the thoughts that you had were there before you met that person, and this person's behavior brought them up for what was already down inside.
But Pastor Petty, if she was doing, I guess, what I consider to be good, then I wouldn't have those thoughts.
Not true. You know why? Okay. The reason why you had them because you had already predetermined that when you do certain things, it should produce a certain outcome. Those were predetermined thoughts that were already resident down inside of you. And when what was done did not match the outcome, the thoughts that you predetermined had, they rose up. Had she done what you thought, your yuck thoughts would not have risen up. You would have felt good about what you saw. But because she didn't, then those other ones were there that came to say, ungrateful, don't need help, don't need that, because she did not plant them inside of you. They were already living there. They were already living there. That's where the renovation, the rewiring of the heart comes in for all of us, is that we got to deal with, we have to own our thoughts to realize they are not because of what's on the outside. They're because of what's on the inside. When you go to Matthew 15, it says, what do you deal with? It's not what's on the outside, it's what's here. It's out of the heart. Out of the heart flows that. Flows that. Because I could look at somebody and come up with a thought about what are they dressed like that for? Why do they have that on? I looked at them, but what my looking at them didn't cause me to think what I thought. That thought was there and it just brought it up. And I just looked at them. And because I looked at them, did that bring that thought inside of me and told me to say something inside of myself? It was already there. It just got triggered.
But
Go on. Go
with,
on.
with that
We
thought,
doing surgery. Don't worry. She's going to have surgery. You said you needed surgery. This is surgery right now. Go on.
with that thought, and you look at that person and you say, why are they wearing that? Now, couldn't that be positive within you and want to go talk to them and say, hey, you know, really shouldn't be worrying
No, you
that
know what?
hard.
That's a great rationalization that you're practicing now to justify the reason that you had the thoughts that you did in order to maintain them the same way so that you'll feel better about yourself. The reality is you had foul thoughts about that person. When it all boils down, you had foul thoughts about her that were favorable earlier, but they turned foul when her response wasn't what you anticipated.
But when you know something, it's like, and you see them and you say, well, maybe I should tell her, you
Uh,
know,
okay.
she could wear different undergarments to help her,
Now, get
or
now that's a possibility if you had the right relationship and right attitude with the goal of not giving up on them and talking about how they could have avoided something. But if you already were in that place where she was entitled, ungrateful, no evidence, all that I've done, after all I've done, I'm tired of doing it because I've done it too many times for too many people. If I've got these thoughts running in my head, the real issue is I need to be talking to myself so that I don't look at people like that and to realize what if it were me? Would I want somebody to look at me like that? And the answer is no. Because unless you know fully everything that person was dealing with, you can't even determine whether it's because of their failure to, not wanting to. Unless you fully knew, you couldn't tell. Unless you had a relationship enough to know what they were doing when they were not with you, all you could do is judge them. Now, this is for all of us. This isn't singling you out because it's about our thoughts. It's about our thoughts. Remember what Gwen was saying? She was just going on looking at them. They out here trying to look at it in eclipse, and she's already determined that they unemployed, they ain't got no money, and everything else. She done went all over the place. They out here looking at it in eclipse. You see, she was gone. She was down a road so far, which had nothing to do with the eclipse. You know, it had nothing to do with the. Yes, yes, sir. No, no, come on, come on. No, well, come on. Uh. No, 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 no.
The desire, this whole desire piece in the book, is what really gets me.
Try to connect the dots to where we were right there now.
Right, that one.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. Otherwise,
Okay,
there has to be some continuity.
So I'm going to tie in. I was talking to my wife the other day, and we have a friend who's overweight. And
One.
well,
Okay, but go
one
on.
in particular. That
Okay,
we're
all right. Okay.
Singling out in our hearts. And I asked my wife, I said, if I look like that, would that change anything with our relationship? And she said, absolutely. She said, absolutely. She said, but to tie it into what Lakita was talking about, she said, if I had told you multiple times what you shouldn't be eating and shouldn't be doing this, you should be walking, exercising, and you don't listen to me, it's going to be some serious problems. I didn't want her to like.
Hold that. So what you just said and what she's just saying, the three of you are cousins with a thought issue, a thought life. Because she was going where Lakita went. If I done told you and you still doing it anyway, and I done told you time and time again, made out a menu, prepared meals, all the time you need to do was warm it up and eat it, and you still didn't eat it, and then you turn out to be obese, then there's going to be some issues.
Now, I don't know what the issue was going to be, but I might have been.
It wasn't going to be the normal routine, and we do know that part for sure. Go on.
But I've been in those shoes before, but people think that people appreciate me. And I try to let people know I'm not always appreciated, for real. But what I've learned is I do keep tearing, I keep going on, but there is a point where fatigue settles in.
Fatigue meaning what?
Fatigue, just exhausted from repetition
Of
the issue that they're trying to fix. And I'm helping them try to fix what they're trying to fix. and it just sometimes it seems like they're not ready to fix what they want to fix.
So are you mimicking Lakita to the T?
Not
To
really.
Yeah, you really are. You are exactly where she is. You're saying the same thing. You tired of them not following through. You tired of doing the same thing, saying the same thing, doing the same thing, and coming back to help them all over again.
What I do is help them figure out what they want, and when we find out what they want, I try to lead them to drink what they want, to eat what they want, to work where they want, and based on what they're saying, I got it all. It's tailored, and then they take the tailored suit off.
So does that bothers you, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. That's why you and Lakita are close in that way, because you all sound in the same way, like you all both been contaminated by the same thing.
So I gotta not disagree, just give a different side of it. I know all those situations she's talking about.
But you're rationalizing
Well,
now, because you come right back to rationalize. Well, you're doing the same thing to be able to justify. The reality is, you are looking at people the wrong way with the wrong attitude, and as a result, lost sight that a servant does not care how many times they got to keep doing the same thing. They just keep on serving, and it doesn't even matter because the outcome is not them, because it's a test of our heart, not a test of their behavior. It's a test of our heart.
Well, I do keep doing it, but I probably could change my heart while I'm doing
Well,
it.
that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing.
But I don't give up on them.
Okay.
The last thing
It's the heart. It's the heart. It's the heart, and that's the whole thing. So you all got the same theme. Hold that. You were about to say something, because we're gonna work past, we're gonna get past this this evening. But there's something else you want to add to that?
You actually, I probably interpreted your message wrong
Okay.
when it came to the gentleman that I went to help one night
Okay.
and found out I was hauling all his stuff to another place
Yeah.
of residence. And I didn't know that, and then the place where I was taking it to was the wrong place to take it, because he wasn't supposed to take up residency there. But then I took him back to go, because he needed to get back to go because he didn't know where to stay. And so I did the whole round
Tawana,
trip.
this is hilarious, isn't it? To say the least. But go
I
on.
did the round trip. I did everything.
Right.
All, doing it, biting my tongue.
Right.
I should have been biting. I should have been joyful. I should have been joyful. But I did lecture him a little bit on the way back to go. But anyway, that's what I wanted to say. So I'm gonna work on that heart.
All right, let me say to you what I'm. Let me say to you what I said to Kalia. You cannot work on your heart.
Okay. My
Okay.
desires.
Now we'll get into more detail. You can't work on it. That's just like doing surgery on yourself, and it doesn't work. So
I agree with that.
it's a challenge, because our habitual lifestyle causes us to reinforce and support what we've done, because it's a comfortable space. We can look at things the way we've already looked at them, and before we know it, we're sitting in the seat of judgment. We're there. We're there so easily because it doesn't pass the eye test for us. It doesn't pass the eye test, and before we know it, we're judge. We judge folk. We'll be there because we believe that we're wasting our time. We invested the best of us in them, and they're not doing what we think they ought to do. And that really is it.
I was all he had. You're right.
Yeah, like they put me through all of this. I'm about sick and
He didn't have nobody else that night.
yeah, of course, but that's all right. Now, yes, ma'am.
So I want to make that statement. I kind of wanted to understand. I do understand what both of them are talking about. I do. When I give somebody advice, and I'm sure what I said is correct, and when they don't take it, and they're still in the same circumstance or situation, I do get frustrated. So I do understand what they're both saying. So my question to you, when you said serving is never, it never ends.
No.
So
Go on.
I have worked with people before,
Mm-hmm.
and Pastor, if it never ends, I would still be doing it now today.
Your point is
at some point it's got to end because
No, no. Your point is
it's not a point. It's just
okay.
you just continue doing it and just keep
Okay.
doing it
All right. So
and keep doing it and
in
keep doing
in John in John chapter 13, starting at verse 12, since we're here. Now there's a distinction, but what you all hear me talk about, there's a point where you don't see the evidence that what you're doing is helping. Hold on. Hold on. No, hold on. But the secondary part to that, you didn't judge them. You realized you were not an asset, but you did not judge them. You did not look at them as though you wasted your time in engaging them. You just recognized that you were not the primary beneficiary to be able to assist them at that point. That's different. That's different because you realize that you may have to pass them along. You don't leave them hanging. You're trying to pass them somewhere to continue to serve. But your attitude toward them doesn't flip. So your attitude is still that I'm serving. And it didn't matter whether they took what I said or not. I'm still serving. Because what happens with us is we feel like, something else because it was us involved versus no. Verse 12 of John 13. And Jesus, when he had finished washing their feet, and he put on his clothes and returned to his place, and he raised the question, do you understand what I have done for you? He asked them, you call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is who I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you should also wash one another's feet. Notice, I have set you or given you an example that you should follow or do as I have done for you. I tell you the truth, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them. That's John 13, verses 12 through 17. Because what he says is, the lowest of all servants was the one who washed the feet. Because the feet washing was the worst and the dirtiest part of a person because of walking around in the dust all day. So that was the lowest level servant. And Jesus said, I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to get beneath and do that which nobody is really interested in doing. But I'm doing this to give you an example where you never get tired of serving. Even in the worst situation, you don't put off. You're not helping anyone so you can feel good about helping somebody. That's the wrong motivation. It's got to be to serve the king. Now, if you go back and tell me that was all that it was, then you couldn't look at this person when they dropped the ball. We'll never look at somebody that's dropping the ball because we're there to try to see how we can help. We learn from this. It's just to say, if there was nothing about your heart that needed to be different, that's a different story. But if you tell me there was nothing about your heart that needed to be different, then we got a different conversation. If there was something about your heart that needed to be different, then that says there was a need to take a look at something. Now, if you tell me there was nothing about your heart that needed to be different, that's one conversation. But if there was something about your heart, if your attitude or your thoughts about her changed at all, then that would have meant that it was a hard issue for you. If your thoughts stayed exactly the same throughout, then that's another situation. That's what this is really all about. Did we lock in? Did we stay the same in spite of what somebody else had done? Was our focus, were we in that place? Were we thinking the same way? That's what it really boils down to. That's not humanly possible because we'll flip. That has to be where the Spirit of God is moving down inside of us, and we're not going to look at them in a different way in spite of what they do. Humanly, we can't. This is not sustainable. Humanly, it is not sustainable. Maybe she's not done. Humanly, it's not sustainable. Now, don't run. We got to deal with this. Because what you're saying is helping everyone else. You're just saying it for them. No, don't run. Don't run. You just got to understand. This is just what I'm called to do. I'm a soul surgeon, so I'm going to dig and keep digging. There's just no way around that. Whenever it comes up, when you open it up, we going deeper. That's just the way that it is. That's just the way that, because that's the only way we can get it out. Because it's not just for you, it's anybody who's listening, it's all who are here, it's somebody else who will listen who struggle with the same thing. Struggle with the same thing. That's the difference between going to church, getting excited, and becoming a disciple, that next level where we don't keep record. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, we're doing it because we want to glorify him, and we don't care. We just keep on doing it. It's HARD, but it's HEART work. It's hard humanly because it's HEART work. It's not hard work, ARD. It's hard humanly, but it's HEART work, and the Spirit of God works through us to be able to do it. Because humanly, we don't want to do it like that. We're not trying to do that like that. Because after a while, it's like, forget you, and that'll be the response. Enough for you. Humanly, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing you no more. We develop hearing problems and all kinds of stuff as a result. We forget people, what they look like, forget names and everything else. Right. That's the deal. Yes, sir.
I was going to say, Pastor, when we look at that verse that you brought up,
Now, which one?
this is the John
Okay.
verse, the situation there. I think that original position that Jesus took was forgiving Judas, because Judas was about to betray him. And I think that's, for us, is like a glimpse of where it begins. Like, we need to start with forgiving the person, knowing that the person is apt to, probably will, oftentimes does fall short of whatever expectations we will have, or whatever expectations we have of them. So we begin with this position of forgiveness, and that allows us to serve a little better. And I think that's what one of the things that Jesus was showing. So I was glad you brought that position or that picture in for us, to show us that initially we have to begin by showing forgiveness, or forgiving the individual that we are, quote unquote, trying to help.
Well, let me push back on you a little bit there. You over contextualized it. It was inclusive of what he was saying. You do it without thought or merit, because when he said, I'm going to wash all of the disciples' feet, it wasn't isolated to make Judas the primary reason for doing it. It literally meant, I'm going to do this, including, which says, that tells us it doesn't matter where they are, it doesn't change what I do. So his example is, I want to show you it doesn't matter where anybody else is. I'm giving you this example, because what he emphasized is that I'm going to serve at this level, and I'm showing all of you, although I know this person is here, but I'm not targeting him. I'm just letting you know I know who's here that doesn't belong, who doesn't have the right attitude, who doesn't have my best interest, but I'm just going to serve. So it's all of that. It said, in spite of this, it's that person who is ungrateful. It's that person who really don't care for me. It's that person who's out to get me, who wants to take advantage of me. It doesn't matter where they are, what their focus. I need to be right and serve anyway. And it will just override everything else.
Yeah.
Everything else. Whether they have an agenda, whether they don't have an agenda, whether they're using me and they're trying to get other people to use me, is that, does that change what I do? And he says, I'm giving you all this example because you may have to face not only a Judas, you may have to face a lot of other stuff where people don't care, they don't appreciate you, they have another agenda. But I want you to be sure for yourself what your attitude is, because I'm giving you this example, so you don't look at them, you think of me. You think of me. That's the higher level, inclusive of Judas, but the higher level is, I want you to think about me, or you'll get distracted by this. See, we get distracted by the Judases and won't keep our eyes here. That's why the Hebrews 12 said, look unto him, the author and finisher of your faith, or you'll get thrown off by people. They'll throw you off. They're like, oh, I'm not doing that. I'll serve them, but I'm not going to serve them. They know how to appreciate something. They don't know how to appreciate nothing. So I'm I'm gonna serve these 3. This other 10 over here. Oh, forget y'all. You better go find you somebody to play with, cause it ain't me. Hold on, we need to make sure she's. No, don't jump in yet. We flushing this out. This is spiritual antiseptic.
You're right. The heart, I can't do it alone without God's help within myself. But I do feel that whenever she would call me,
You
she
stuck on
wouldn't know.
you're stuck on her. That tells me because you're stuck on her, you're not thinking heart. You're stuck on the situation. If you just kind of hear yourself, you keep bringing the situation. Because
Okay. If a person,
no, hold on, listen. If that was the only person you served, then that would be what you would talk about. That was one of many, just like we talking to Judas's other word. That's one of many. Now, could you say your attitude toward everybody you serve has been the same? Now you see how it's different? If you could say your heart has been the same for everybody historically you've served. No, don't stop. That's a question. Can you say it's been the same?
I can't say that, no.
Now, see, that's why we have to keep pushing to recognize it's a heart issue. It's a heart issue. Or situations will become magnified versus looking at our heart. Because we could all pull a situation and blow it up. But then we got to look at across the board, where are we? That's what this really boils down to. Where are we across the board? Not an isolated one, because you could also, just like everybody else, could talk about a great outcome and how great it made us feel because somebody followed through and we saw it. We can bring up all of those. It's those other ones that are for us to grow from. It's the ones that are not what we like talking about. It's the ones where they don't do what they want us to do. It is James chapter 1, the trying of our faith, where it says, I'm probably tired of it. Those are the ones where we grow. We don't grow from the ones where it turns out and everybody's cooperative and they're doing everything you say. We don't grow from that. We pat ourselves on the back and have a great time. That's the easy one. A non-Christian could do that because that doesn't take any move of the Spirit. That's charity. That's different. It's the resistance and the pushback where we get the real test, not when it's, oh, I'm going to do everything you say. Because there are some people who do everything you say and could care less about God, but they'll still do everything you say because they want the goods on the back end. Now, she's getting to see this every day when people come in to get help with their utility bills and everything. Some of them will follow to the letter what's said. Then there are some other church-going folk who run you all over the place. They'll run you all over the place. Naming Jesus at the same time. Okay. All right.
I think you answered my question because I was going to say, if you falter, does that mean you're not there yet? And then I think you answered my question because you said humanly it's impossible. So if I falter and not have my heart in the right place, but then I recover, is that okay? Or should I always have my heart in the right place? Should I always be there?
1 John 1:9 says, if we confess our sins, he's faithful and just. You straighten up, get right. Is what it boils down to. But if you linger, your thoughts are going to keep going, and you'll be like, that's what I thought. They ain't no good, and they're doing the same thing they did yesterday. I mean, that's where you'll be. You'll start going through the file, going back to talk about how bad they are and why they didn't, and the last time you helped them, and then like, that's on you. That's not on them. That's on you. It's not on them.
Okay, right now I'm dealing with something just like this.
Just like what now?
The heart and all this stuff.
Okay,
that's going on
okay.
right now. So earlier today, well, we've made a decision with the organization Thread Hoops that I work with. We're going to go to a different type of payment. It won't be cash anymore. It's going to be through a system. Money goes straight to your bank account. Feeling good today. I'm sending out the notices to all the officials. Everybody's cooperating, getting ready to get into the new system. And I get a call right before Bible study with some people complaining about taxes.
About getting paid.
Yeah.
And have to do a 1099 and all of that, of course.
So I call the director of the program. And it's interesting, he was able to settle me down because I want to talk about it. He said, "Why are you even wasting time? You should have expected this." And it's only a few people where the majority of the people are ready to go and cooperate. But I'm focused on these people. They texting me now.
According to how you wanted them to respond.
Right.
So
That's
that
correct.
so really it has nothing to do with them. It has nothing to do with them.
So what do I do now? When I because I know the one person already said they quitting.
Okay.
They won't be right.
So what? Okay, quit. Quit.
But I'm thankful for the work that they've done over the years with supporting me. I really am.
Yeah, so the reality is you got to look at why is it that you're looking at it this way. And so that's inside of you, not their reaction. There again, it gets back to us. What is it? This heart thing, that's why Jeremiah 17:9 said the heart of man is desperately wicked, who can know it? There's got stuff going on inside.
I think it's again what we talked about. These are the same people I've tried to cater to. We made changes to cater to them. And here we go again.
Listen at what
up
you
the
said.
way
Listen
it
at what you said. Listen at what you said. What did you say?
Here we go again.
No. What did you say before then?
What did I say? Cater, yeah.
Okay. That was your problem. I just love it. Now go on, Leslie.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's exactly what the book and the teachers is doing for me, making me know that I have to make a decision. Am I going to go to the higher level, or am I going to be stuck down here? So that's what I'm learning. There's the decisions that I have to make and I have to stand on. And decision that I have made is to go to the higher level. So everything that we're talking about, I work in the same sector and deal with that. And I've actually been with the company for a year today. However, from then to now, and definitely working under Dr. Petty, has changed my attitude completely about serving. Because before it was according to me on how I would serve or why I would serve. Now I'm just here to serve, regardless of the people who comes in, their attitudes, or if they're appreciative of what I do or what I don't do. So that's exactly what the teaching and the book is doing for me, letting me know that it was a decision that I had to make.
And the deal is you will be tested based upon that decision or commitment that you make. You'll be challenged to determine, was it just situational? Now that's the reality, because you could find yourself, oh, I did great with this, and take a little bit of, that's what I'm talking about, attitude. Then Mr. or Miss Difficulty is about to show up again. Then now it's like, and they're going to be worse than the previous one. Now you got to decide, because they're going to compromise, complicate, and you got to decide, what will it do with you? What are you going to do when your day is not going according to plan? Yes, ma'am.
Um, what I was about to say is that a lot of times we choose who we want to serve.
Then that means you're not serving.
Right, but I'm saying that
So that's so
I
you
understand.
you got to change the terminology. If I choose who I want to serve, I'm not serving.
Okay, so I'm wrong.
No,
No,
no, no,
no,
no,
no.
no. It's not a matter of saying you're wrong. A servant can't choose who they serve. They just serve.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
So, but when you say I choose who I serve, that means you're not serving.
So a lot of times, so what I'm saying, that's what I do. So I'm not a servant because a lot of times I make choices on who I'm going to serve.
Is it when it's convenient?
I'm not going to say it makes it's convenient.
It's
but
better than the ones you choose to not do, right?
yes,
Then it's convenient.
yes. So my thing is, if you're making choices, like I'm not a server, but if I choose to make somebody serve somebody that I know is very difficult, and I start serving them, then it's hard for me. So I think that I don't know.
Why is that?
I don't. I'm speaking. Okay, I'm speaking for myself. It's not like I'm choosing to choose the easy ones, but when I come across with somebody, because I'm so used to serving people that I think are easy, and so when I come across somebody that is difficult, that's when I think I had those feelings like, oh wow, I did this for them. Now I'm not getting the I'm gonna say I'm not getting what I want to see them do.
Mm-hmm.
So I find so
Mm-hmm.
it's my heart because I'm choosing to choose who I want to serve.
It's challenging, isn't it?
Yes.
It's challenging. See, I mean, that's why I said. All right, keep going. Anybody else? Anybody else? It's this is for us to grow. This is for us to grow.
Sorry, I just with this situation, I feel betrayed, sort of. This is how I'm feeling right now. For
By
real.
the people.
Yeah.
Okay, now are you tired of feeling like that?
Yes. Yes, I
Well, you
am.
can stop it right now. Are they really betraying you? Did you know that passage we just read a little bit earlier that Michael alluded to about Judas and John? He knew ahead of time, and he did you know he washed his feet too? Although he knew he washed his feet because it said, "Can they betray you when your honor is to the Lord?" Can they really betray you?
No, this kingdom thinking is good.
Oh,
Really
it's a
is.
totally different
It's
situation.
a whole no. You
Because
can't.
you have to ask yourself, did you serve them well in spite of where they are? Or were you doing it for them to respond back to you a certain way?
No, honestly, I just was doing it.
But because they haven't responded back a certain way, it has bothered you. So then now you got to ask, were you doing it for them to have a certain response back towards you?
Yeah, I think I believe that. I thought this would be a good move for all of us.
You were expecting them to show appreciation. Now you got it. You see how this goes? This
Because I was really excited today, putting the information in the database. And God simplified it for me. Some of the people's already in the system. Once I put the email,
but
everything was
why is it
populated.
why is it that you don't remain excited?
At that moment.
Right now, why is it you don't reset, do a reset?
No, I do feel better now that this is being discussed. I'm glad we're talking about this, because if not, I probably would have been feeling a certain way, and I don't know what might have came out in conversation. But now I'm gonna humble myself and just
Say it's
let it go.
yeah.
My friend
no.
told me to let it go. Told me that, why are you even thinking about this? That's what he told me. Before Bible study started,
All
he
right.
said, "Why are you even wasting time with this?"
All right, so when you all get a chance, this is the last passage now because you see we've gone. In Luke chapter 14, I'm going to pick up in verse 12 and tell you all to read the entire chapter. Verse 12, this is after Jesus, and this is after the parable about the feast. Jesus said to his host, when you give a luncheon or dinner, do not invite your friends, your neighbors or relatives, or your rich neighbors. Do not invite your friends, your brothers or sisters or relatives, or your rich neighbors. If you do, they might invite you back, and so you will be repaid. You know, we like it like that. We kind of doing it. But he said, but when you do give a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind, and you will be blessed. Although they cannot repay you, says you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous. So he's saying, those are the ones, the ungrateful, the ones who can't do nothing about it. And it just keeps on going. It said that's about the kingdom, bringing it into the kingdom. But the principle is don't get caught up into doing it out of convenience and looking for something in return. It's always an opportunity there. Now you got to decide, where is your heart? Like where is your heart?
The text I received and the phone call kind of came at the same time, but from different people. So one person texted me, letting me know that the person that was calling me will be quitting.
Okay.
And the guy that texted me was explaining why he's quitting. That's kind of why he's quitting or whatever. So it's just interesting. That's all. It's all interesting.
There's somebody else who will be interested in doing something, and if it doesn't, it don't matter either. It's okay.
Also, we have to decide if we want our reward and honor from the Lord or from the people.
It's always there. Now, we have these big personalities. We have these controlling personalities that we want people to go by our script that we haven't even given them. So when they respond other than how we've already determined in advance that they should, our poor little heart goes, starts coming up with stuff. It gets creative, it gets colorful, and it takes us down places that God is not pleased with. When all we need to do is to just serve. So my son had called about a challenging situation at work, and in which Tawana, you all are doing map testing now, right? Doing map testing, and so he's the proctor or monitor in the room, and somebody else comes in, and he's trying to encourage and motivate them to get this work in, and this person comes in the room and doesn't acknowledge him and goes down another road, and he was about to go down that road. He was about to go down that road. Until as we begin to talk, it's to say, you got to ask yourself, what's the point? What's the point? Because she did not respond the way you wanted her to respond. What's the point? What are you supposed to be doing there? What's your motivation behind it? Yes, you could put this person in their place. Yes, you could let them know why. You could go through all of that. But after it's all said and done, what's the point? How should they experience you? How should they experience you? Should they experience you as a person who's there to serve in spite of their inappropriate way that they engage you? Or do you prove this is not how you approach me? Like, what's your point? When it all boils down, how dare you come into my classroom? Okay, you see how it goes? What's your point?
So when you put all your energy, may not be all your energy, but you putting a lot of energy into us. Just
Yeah, you talking
us.
about
And you want us to understand, get the word, be saved, and you are pouring into us. You preaching to us. You giving us all these different books and tools, and you doing it, and it just don't seem like we are getting it. How would that make you feel?
Okay, I'm gonna let Tawana say something, and then I'll come back. I'll come back and say it, and I'll tell you.
When you were talking earlier, I was saying that's about how he's the grace of how he's feeling with us, but he keeps going and going and going. So when you're talking about, I'm sure that's how he feels, but his grace for us, like the grace that God gives us, just extends the same way.
Yeah. So she answered it because I don't stop. I don't get discouraged. I continue to stay focused, continue to push, continue to not get off task because the assignment hasn't changed. I'm going to still be responsible for communicating, for teaching, to providing, and to even be accessible outside of Fresh Start. So none of that ever changes. It's just all of the time because I'm just locked in and knowing that humanly I can't do it. I know humanly I cannot do it because one, I don't have the energy or capacity to be able to, and I would get an attitude. It would be a lot different than what it is now. If the Spirit of God was not in the midst of leading and going through this, is that I would tell you all where to go and how quick to get there. I'd be telling you all stuff. Be like, I don't have no time for this. Cause it'd be like, are you kidding me? Stupid. I mean, it'd be some things I'd be saying. No. I mean, you want to know the truth. I'm just saying. I'm just telling you. I'm giving you the human response, but then I'm not there because it'd be like, oh, I could find something else to do. I could go hang out with a wino and it make more sense out of this because I'm not expecting them to hear or recognize anything, and I'm coming here doing. See that's what it would be. It's like, oh, you kidding me? It's like, are you kidding me? It's like, how many times? But Jesus had to say to the disciple, how long do I need to be with you? He said, when are you going to get it? So he said, this is a part of the process. So it's not going to bother me. No, it does not. It does not bother me because 2 Corinthians 12 says, his grace is sufficient. His grace is sufficient in that he strengthened me in these situations where it's very clear that humanly it's not possible to do this. Humanly it's not possible because since I already know that, I'm like, no, it's the outcome is going to be based on him. What he's going to hold me accountable for is planting the seed and serving and modeling. That's what he's going to hold me accountable for. It is going to be the fact of 1 Corinthians 11:1 said, be ye imitators of me, follow me as I follow Christ. So my responsibility is that. It's the life lived before you is more significant than the instruction. It's the lived life whereby it will be able to say that if I didn't say anything and you filmed me, that's the greater statement than anything standing up before you talking. It would be seeing me outside of these four walls, seeing how I engage other people in these other settings would tell you whether or not it's legitimate or that God's hand is on it. That's what it would be like. It's the lived life, and then the words are added to the lived life. It's what I can tell you. That's why there's no pressure. That's why there's no pressure. Because you lose your agenda, you don't have to worry about it. Nothing to fix, nothing to prove. And the other part to that is my responsibility to protect the boundaries of how things are communicated and what they really are. And if it's not doing that, then it's not helping anyone. It has no value. And this is just me all the time. What you're seeing now this is it. All I know is all I know. That's it. Yep. That's it. So anything else before we leave? Anything else that somebody needs to add or raise a question about? Well, again, literally, this is how we started. That study would have been we were in a circle where everybody could see each other in terms of study. So just don't be surprised if we're doing that. That is if we do this on Wednesdays. So that's what I mean. Yes, ma'am.
Across somebody that I didn't know at the YMCA, and she said, "Hi, Tracy, how are you doing?" And I looked at her, and I'm like, "Who are you?" And that's in my head. So she said, "Yeah, I'm Michelle." I said, "Michelle." She said, "Yeah, I went to Fresh Start." I'm figuring out who it is. She said, "I'm Deborah's friend, the one that passed." And so I said, "Okay." I said, "So you're Michelle, so you're Virchel's friend." So she said, "No, I'm not Virchel's friend. Deborah's friend."
Mm-hmm.
So I asked her, I said, "So are you still
Mm-hmm.
are you going to church?" And she said, "No." And so I said, "Okay, I'm going to tell Pastor Petty." She said, "Okay." But anyway, I didn't know who she was. I really didn't. So I didn't really know what to say to her.
I don't think there was very much interaction, and it's been quite a while, and it was pretty spotty when she was coming. So it was for a short amount of time, and it was in and out. So, however, it's like she remembered, and she's not going because the commitment was not there. That is it. Now, she was there when Sister Deborah passed. She was around. She was active. She was there. It was like for the people who knew her, they knew her. But most probably would not. But it tells you by her raising it that she has remembered, and she's got to deal with what's tugging at her to determine why she isn't somewhere. Now, I can tell you, there are more people who have left Fresh Start because they didn't want to be accountable than who have not. Wouldn't that be about the size of it, Gwen? Yeah, it's more who have not want to be accountable. Like, folks want to just and I don't pressure people. Just say this is how we do what we do, and if you want to grow, this is what it is, and it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable if you don't want to grow. In fact, there's a church that created a name after something we said. You will either grow or go, and Grow to Go Christian Center took that line and created a new name for the church. Because that's not what it was always called.
So anyway, we had a conversation on yesterday with her, and we shared. Dewan kind of shared with her. We kind of talked to her. Dewan did a lot of affirming her, telling her some positive things for her, and so she was very receptive. So we had a real good conversation, and so Dewan said, I think she asked what church we went to or whatever, so we kind of talked about that. But we had a long conversation. So near the end, she says, "So, where's your church at?" So said, we kind of told them where it was. So she said, "My plan is to come." So the thing we never asked her, she chose to come. So her intentions is to come.
Importance of relationships. That again, how you live gives credibility to what you say. Because the first thing they're gonna look and see is how are you different? How are you different? Right. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, so I guess it extends to your children too,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm taking my daughter to Florida, thanks to Dr. Petty, because the natural mind wants to feel. Of course, my husband is a disciplinarian,
Mm-hmm.
and so now that I have to listen to him, but my heart knows because I've been there, and I said, okay, so let's call Dr. Petty. What he'll listen to Dr. Petty, although he didn't understand, but I was like hugely relieved, and I know I still have to show grace in those situations with my
Mm-hmm.
daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and serve,
Mm-hmm.
even in situations where you feel like you shouldn't, because you feel like they're getting over on you, but they're really not getting over on me. And that's what I tell her all the time. You're really not getting over on me when you disobey me or break a curfew or do something like that. And it's not me that extends the grace, because the punishment from him is way worse. It's way worse, and I try to say that, but after all of that, the grace that I'm extending on this, I'm going to enjoy myself too in Florida.
See, see, you said it's since I must go. Yeah, yeah, since I must go. That Romans 15 verse 1. We who are strong ought to bear the infirmities or failings of the weak, and not to please ourselves. Each of us should please his neighbor for his good, to build him up, for even Christ did not please himself. For even, and it is written, the insults of those who insult you are fallen on me. For everything that was written in the past was written to teach us, so that through endurance and encouragement we might have hope. So he's just telling us, okay, so that's where we are. That's where we are. He's just saying to us, okay, that you don't want to be the responsibility. You don't want to be responsible for it. so that we can get it right. And here's the deal. When it comes to parents and children, there are two things that are inherent. One, they're not yours. Psalm 127 say they're inheritance. We're to train them in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. The outcome is the Lord's, not yours. He's going to hold you accountable for training. Only training. Not outcome, not behavior, not choices. The tendency oftentimes is for parents to get into those spaces, choices, outcome, and that, where it's supposed to be training only. That's all he's going to hold you accountable for. When they're in a position to say yes or no to you, the consequences fall on them. You continue to train. Continue to train, not to fix, not to correct, but just to train. When you're very clear about this comes after that, or this comes as a result of that, that's what training is. If you do this, this is going to happen. Once they can say that they understand what you're saying, you act it out. You don't play, you don't talk, you don't get into discussions. Training says this follows this. And that really is it. And that's how God deals with us as his children. He says, I'm going to let you make a decision. I'm telling you what's going to happen. Now you got to make a decision. Because if you do this, this is going to happen. Now you got to deal with that. And that literally is where he has us. That literally where it's. Okay, anything else before we leave?
You just brought up another point. I want to know the difference in, yes, training and serving, because when your children are coming up, you training them, but then when you're dealing with somebody else's children, then you're serving them. So
what do you how and what do you mean you're serving them?
Well, with the people, you're supposed to be serving. You're a servant, so you are helping them.
So when you say other people's children, give me an example of what you mean, so I can make sure I'm following.
Just when they, example, if they need some type of service, they don't have a car, you take them, I guess, to the grocery store, to the laundromat, or whatever you're doing.
You're talking about somebody else's child?
Right.
Somebody else's child.
Somebody else's child. You're serving.
Somebody else's child.
Yes.
Okay.
Somebody else's child.
So what about whose child they are?
Whose child are they? God's?
No. Who are their parents?
So why they not taking them?
Correct.
To do those things?
Correct.
I don't know. Maybe they're not there. I don't know.
So how do you get into the picture?
Serving.
They didn't just pop out of the sky. How do you get into the picture?
Relationship.
All right, so here's what I tell you. Unless there's an adult figure involved that you've been freed and released to help any child, you don't.
Well, they are adult children. I'm just saying
Well, you just changed the whole narrative. That's a totally different narrative right there now.
Adult.
No, are you finding? No, but that's a totally different narrative when you say adult children versus children. No, that's why that was the reason why I was asking. So once you say adults, then that's not on you.
Not serving.
They're adults. But you call them children.
No, but they're somebody's children. At some point, I was just wondering what's the difference. I have adult children as well, so I'm just saying, what's the difference? Where do you draw the line? If you can do those things for somebody else's child, it's considered serving. But then when it comes to your child, it's like you have to draw the line at some point.
No. See, there again, I'm trying to make the distinction between what you call somebody else's child and what that context. If you're talking about something in a work situation, that's one thing. But if you're just randomly choosing to do something for somebody, that's totally different. Okay. Okay, that's different. Then that's totally different because that's in the context of your work than somebody's family, child. That's different than you're arbitrarily just doing it and you're talking about your own. That's why that if it's in a work situation, that doesn't connect the dots in the same way if you're talking about something else. Do you understand the difference between what I'm saying? You're in a work situation serving people who show up, who do that. That's one thing. But when you're talking about adult children and have you trained them, and when it comes to a point where they're being irresponsible and doing other stuff because of their own choices that got them into that situation, you're not helping them.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying with those other adult children. I was a mentor, right? So
In the
I
work
was
environment,
in a work
that's
environment,
different.
social worker.
But that's different in the work environment.
So when do you cut it off?
Again, I said you're talking work environment versus natural dynamics of your family. That's different. You're not responsible for training in the work environment. It's over here that you train the children properly. And if they bust up their own lives, then there's some prices they need to pay themselves. If they made bad decisions, you got to decide how far you want to go based on your having trained them and they opted to make bad decisions.
But so did those people in the workplace.
You got to separate the two because your heart is, your emotions are too tied into it. You're trying to associate a disconnected set of individuals in a work environment that calls for you to do that by virtue of the environment that you're in versus over here your attachment by them being a part of your bloodline. Over here, the natural dynamics of your engaging them is a part of your work and you're serving them because of who you're connected to. That's separate and distinct versus who you've trained and they're making bad decisions. Those are two totally different scenarios. That it's a challenge, but there the line's already drawn. The line is already drawn. Is what we'll say. Okay. Anything else before we leave? We want to make sure we have this right because we got to help other folk. Because we got to help every folk. No. Okay. Okay.
So if you lost your parent, and you have brothers and sisters, and one of them is sick, and you're an adult, are you responsible for taking care of your brother?
You can answer that question yourself.
I don't think so.
Okay.
So I was saying that I don't think that's your responsibility. That's what I told her. But she keeps taking care of him. I was like, that is not, I don't think your mother would want you to do that. I mean, she has like done everything. She didn't put him in a nursing home. She didn't.
So why does it bother you that she done that?
It's not bothering me. It really isn't.
You
It
said,
doesn't bother me.
but you said something.
Yes, that's my cousin.
You said something. Why does that bother you? If it didn't bother you, never would have said anything.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Okay. So she came to you and you stepped in to say something.
Yes, I did.
You're not okay with her doing all of that, right?
No, I'm not.
It bothers you.
Yes, it bothers
Okay,
me.
that's all it is. Now, why does it bother you?
It bothers me because she has kind of put her life on hold.
Why does it bother you?
Because her mother wouldn't want her to
No,
do
no, no.
that.
You talking about other stuff. Why does it bother you?
Why does it bother me?
Right.
I guess it's because it's family.
That's still not good enough reason. Why does it bother you? Because you wouldn't do it? Is that what it is? Yeah, I mean, is that what it is? Because you wouldn't do it?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, then that's it. So now you see it bothers you because you wouldn't do it and you don't understand why she's doing it.
So maybe that's it. I wouldn't do it. You correct?
Right.
I wouldn't.
Right.
Because I don't think that's my responsibility.
Okay. All right.
So is it wrong? Yes, you got there's other brothers. Yes. No. Him taking care of himself.
All right, okay, no, Dewan, the real issue is why it's bothering her. All the other dynamics, it could be 50 other brothers and sisters. The reality is it bothers her, and she has to deal with why it does when it all boils down. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are. She still got to answer the question, why does it bother her? Well, no, she's the one. She's the only one who can answer that question. And so, so in other words, you got to check your heart to decide why is that bothering, you, and then you got to let it go. Because you're carrying it for no reason. Because you're carrying it can't do nothing but hurt you. It can't change nothing. That really is it. Now, just so you know, the reason why we take the time to do this is because we don't know who's going to hear what at what time and who's tuned in to hear something that might be the difference between a decision they make and they may not make. And that's the reason why we do this. So, that is it. So, Father, we thank you for what you're doing, how you keep us, how you protect us, and thank you for those who have been here, those who have tuned in, those who will tune in, and ask that you would watch over us as we go and speak peace to all those who will be hearers in Jesus' name. Amen.